Salutations, everyone. This is the Trigger Bois podcast, where internet people, which will be introduced, talk about Trigger anime. Today we'll be doing Darling in the Franxx episode 4. Today we have me, Vamp the Vampire, the best vampire around. We all know this. We also have the anarcho-punk Lucy.
Hell yeah! Alright, I'm ready to fucking kill some bitches today. How are y'all doing? How are y'all listeners doing? I know we got lots of listeners on these podcasts, but on the later ones, nobody gives a fuck about what we're doing here. But we're here anyways. Coming at you with content that you probably don't want, but you're listening to anyways.
Nice. We also have the self-proclaimed red-pilled god, Munsy.
I'm just going to cut to the fucking chase. What does everybody see in this goddamn episode that makes it so special?
Oh!
I don't understand. I don't get it.
My God.
Like, nothing different happened. Nothing changed.
It's more...
Everything changed. It's a 10 out of 10.
Nothing changed.
It's 11 out of
Please
10.
I don't understand.
Vamp,
I really don't.
Please explain.
I'm exactly
Please
on
explain
Munsy's side
to
with this.
Lucy and myself
It
what
baffles
is so good
me.
about
it
this
fucking
episode.
baffles me.
'Cause
There
you
were
are not
so
the
many
only
people
one.
on Discord that were talking about how fucking good this episode. People on Twitter talking about it. I don't get it.
All right.
Yeah,
So-
all these fucking fuckboys.
Okay, I'm going to reference the last episode where I said, episode 3, it's a little weak. I have some fears. I also said this in episode 2, I think. I have some fears that they seem like they're setting up for things way too early. Like, they have, an episode or two before. They set up for, something that happened, an episode or later. And it's just, there's a whole lot of it happening more than it would usually. So I was afraid there's going to be a lot of setup for a whole lot of not getting what I want. But this episode, I got what I wanted. They finally stopped screwing around with their bullshit setup. They got Hero and our main girl 02 to actually be like, screw everything. Let's just do what we want. They all grew balls and they did it. What more could I ask for than just kicking it off?
There are a lot more of these
saying
things
screw.
you could ask for.
So what I want to point out, which I generally didn't understand why people were hyping up this episode so much before I watched it, and my guess is that it's because 02 and Hero are finally yeah, we can pilot, and everyone's like, yeah, they can pilot. This is actually a big deal now. They have to work together. So they're the only ones that can do it. But if that's actually what people were hyping this episode up for, that's really weak, because you must be an idiot to not think that that's the way it was gonna go.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
I always thought it was gonna go that way, but I was afraid that they were gonna just make it 3 episodes later than episode 4. I thought it was gonna be okay, they're setting up for this 5
they should have done it
in
episode
advance.
1 or 2.
They really should have. The fact that
it should have been off the bat, because you knew it was gonna happen. So stop dragging your fucking tail until it happens.
Yeah, because we should be episode 4.
Should have happened episode 3.
We should be diving into some sort of crazy plot by now or something. You know what I mean? This is no 64 episode show where we could just faff about with episodic plots for a few episodes before we dive into shit. This is only a 2-core series. We have 20 episodes left, right? I would God, we've 20 episodes left.
So I think episodes 1 and 2 are good. They did what they're supposed to. Episode 3 was weak. There wasn't much content, as I said in the last episode. That's just what I think. Do we want to start getting in the episode scene by scene?
Yep.
Go for it.
Hell yeah, folks. Okay, so at the start of the episode, I'm going to call them the Spooky Council, because they're just the council that is on the floating chairs, as we talked about before. And they just said, hey, maybe we should get 02 and her FranXX to go on the front lines and actually do something instead of screwing around in that area doing nothing. I don't know why she was there in the first place. It's weird.
Not explained.
Not explained at all. It's horrible.
Classic Darling in the Franxx.
Yep.
I'm just gonna point that out. Just saying.
Yeah. Then we have a scene.
So before we continue, I just would like to interject real quick and make the point
was waiting.
that and just make the point that my anger has kind of subsided. Episode 3, it was more of just like an acceptance that this is a bad show and I'm no longer mad. But then the hype leading up to me watching this episode just brings back the anger. It brings back the rage.
It's reinvigorating.
Yeah, I feel young again, you know?
Yep.
I'm glad you got it, because we still have a long time to go and we need to keep the high energy.
I feel like I'm gonna die, dude.
I watch every episode 3 times.
I know you do, Vamp.
It's great.
And you're going to be watching it 4 now that the dub's out, and it baffles me how you can handle that.
You're going to watch the dub too, Vamp?
Yeah, it's going to be hilarious.
God.
The dub is going to be horrible. I guarantee it.
Oh, it's going to be terrible.
Guys,
I'm
I
sure.
have an idea. Here's what's going to get us the clicks. We do the
Who's
same...
dubbing it? Is it
We do
is
it.
it Funimation?
We do an episodic
don't think
podcast about the dub. We do this podcast again about the dub.
You will need to get another third guest. I'm not sitting through this show another time. I'm not doing it.
But it'll be the dub. It'll be the dub. Come on.
But dubs are 10 out of 10s every time.
Nobody says that. Nobody says that, Vamp. There's no
That
straw
is-
man to be made. No one thinks that.
Listen, Funimation, they're doing some great things for the industry. That's undeniable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe not. I wouldn't say the dub department is one of the places where they're making those advancements. However,
Vic Mignogna.
how did this show start? We had our spooky council, as you call
Spooky
them.
Council, it goes to Mitsuru, the character who piloted with 02 last episode. He's traumatized because he piloted with 02. He's just freaking out. He's just like, oh my gosh, he almost killed me.
Yeah, he was like, she was gonna kill me, dude. You couldn't handle how fucking kinky she is in bed, dude. You can't, you're
Oh
gonna
my
die
God.
after the third
Too
time.
much woman for you,
He
hero.
was like, you're gonna die after the third time. I was like, no, he's not. He's like, you're crazy if you think the one that's gonna stand out. You think you're crazy if you think you're special like that. And I'm like, he's not crazy. He knows that he's a fucking main character of an anime. Like, of course he's gonna live. And I know, I talked about this last time. I think it's stupid that they're keeping count, and they're doing it more. They're keeping count of, like, when he's expected to die with her. And then they're already saying, like, hey, you might totally be special, though, and, like, totally it might be okay. And, like, we're gonna roll around, and it's gonna be like, he pilots this time, and this is the second time, and the next time, be like, dude, you can't do this time, otherwise you're gonna die. And then he's gonna be like, ooh, but I'm gonna do it anyways, but ooh, I might die. And then you know what's gonna happen? He's not gonna die, and the show will be like, oh my god, he didn't die. And I'm gonna be like, oh, I do care. I don't care, because of course he wasn't gonna die.
yeah, of course he's not. He's done. So yeah, they spend a lot of the beginning of the episode, like at least like I would say like 6 minutes, just like establishing, hey, here they're trying to scare. There's a whole lot of things that scare Hero into like interacting and piloting with 02. So obviously it sets up for later on in the episode when he's like gets over it and is just like, you know, I love 02. You know, I want to pilot with 02. Screw the FranXX.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that.
Girl
We'll
wants
get to
to
that.
fuck me. It's finally clicking.
She wanted to fuck him in that fucking bathtub.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
God, the
Hero's getting
bathtub.
more and more scared because, you know, Mitsuru and a whole lot of other things happen. Where like there's more talk of, you know, that rumor of no one can pilot with her more than 3 times. You know, all that's brung up, and, you know, 02 confronts Hero at this point. And as you know, they like to do the thing where they interrupt the characters when it's an important moment. And a dinosaur comes.
The classic trope.
Because what fucking happens in this series is that they're just fucking they are we talking about the bathtub scene? Because I'm angry
Yes,
about
we're
the bathtub
talking about
scene.
the bathtub scene.
So we get in the bathtub scene and he's bathing, and I'm gonna take a second. I'm gonna sidebar
All right,
and
that's fine.
and call back to something that I said before, which is they do not sell the plantation as a setting that is like post-apocalyptic, because this bathroom is ritzy as fuck, right? This bathroom is like a Japanese like public bathhouse, but fancier and for like one punk kid. And then it's supposed to be in this cramped dystopian post-apocalyptic dome city, and it's just like, oh, he could just sprawl out in this fucking football-sized bath and fucking jerk off on his own in this massive room. It's like, yeah, it's so gritty and post-apocalyptic. I'm so sold.
Yeah, that's why I'm so convinced that they're not trying to actually be gritty and apocalyptic. I'm convinced they're not trying.
But that's the universe that they've established, though.
It's supposed to be fucking dystopian post-apocalyptic. That's what anyways, so she comes in and she's like, bah, 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 I want to fuck you. And then the alarm's like, whoop, whoop, it's time to get in the mechs and have sex. Whoop, whoop. And then they get all ready, and then they're like, okay, Munsy, you said that they were like testing something, or like there was like Klaxosaurs coming for like a specific reason.
Yeah, they said, oh, they must have detected us testing this technology, and I was like, you said it last episode. It's like they put themselves with this lava shit. They use lava weapons, and it's like, oh, our lava weapons must have attracted more Klaxosaurs that we can't handle. And I'm like, then why are you using lava weapons?
And in this particular case, we find out that the Klaxosaur was actually coming because the actual thing that was happening was they were removing 02, whatever. But they should have had the kids in the mechs in the first place, but they didn't. So we just interrupt them with an action scene, and it's very quick. It's just like, all right, we were fucking. All right, now it's an action scene. And it's like, what? Okay, now it's an action scene. Suddenly, all of the people in the mecha are like jumping around, doing like ninja shit out in the desert, and they're like, wah, wah, I'm jumping around. It's all anime. When 2 episodes before, they were stumbling over each other to do anything, like literally anything. Remember when they were doing the test and they were out in the desert, or when they were doing the fight?
And Ichigo gave them a speech earlier. The speech invigorates them.
Speeches don't mean jack shit on the fucking battlefield. What are you talking about? They're tripping over each other and shit, and now they're jumping around like ninjas because it's episode 4 and we need it to look fancy now.
Yeah.
But it's like, and they do the fight, and I don't care.
And they're getting wrecked in the fight still.
I can't imagine like what this creature looks like. It's like a snake thing, maybe, and maybe there were 2 of them. I couldn't tell.
It's
the direction
generic
was awful.
Earthworm, big giant earthworm.
It could have been, but like I didn't understand what it looked like because I couldn't get a sense of it.
It was a big worm.
But it had like claws or something.
Yeah, there's one side that has claws, and the other side that looks like an electric shaver. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, it did look like a shaver, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I use one of those like every week.
Like, once a week. So yeah, they're fighting the electric shaver, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. And then what happens next, Vamp? Let us know.
All right, so while they're fighting the worm and getting their ass kicked, 02 is taken away by some military force that's gonna take her back to the front lines. So she's getting taken away, and Hero grows some balls, and he's like, "Hey, I actually want 02 to stay, or I just want to pilot and be with."
And then he autistically screams at her through a hollow door while the guards don't notice, but she seems to notice.
Yeah,
like for like way too long.
Supersonic Klaxosaur hearing.
Yeah. So like he screams at her and monologues for like way too long about how he said one thing in there that I liked, which was him saying like he wasn't like, oh, we need to go out there and save those people. It was like, I just want to pilot this mech with you, which would be more like,
it's supposed to be I think romantic.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to be romantic because they're fucking, but I think it's something that would be said by a far more interesting character who's like driven by their love of piloting. But no. No, it's just sex. It's just a horny teenager. This kid has no passion for anything but the vag. You know what I mean?
The vag being a metaphor for piloting, his passion is to pilot. Like, he thinks he's worthless without piloting in the show's defense.
Right.
He's worthless without providing to society. maybe.
Yeah,
Could be.
I mean,
you could probably get that.
as we've proven with episode 1, like if you can't do shit, you fucked. So
Yep.
Yep.
So they get into the mech, and they have real good sex.
Oh yeah.
It was really good sex.
They have save the day sex.
I believe at one point he said something along the lines of, "I'm so deep inside you this time." Or
it was something like exactly like the word "deep" was spoken
the word
by him.
"deep" was thrown around, and it was like you were there, Munsy. I was cracking up the whole fucking scene.
After that line, I think he said like, "I'm so deep in you, you know."
Yep.
The lines between us are so blurred.
He's like,
tell
I
where
feel
I
like
begin
we're
and you
one.
end.
And she was like, I feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah, I believe she also threw around the word "cum," which made me crack up even harder. It was bad. Yeah.
It was good. So they're piloting. They're gonna save the kids. Basically, this fight scene takes way too long, in my opinion, because it's like it's like the whole last third of the episode, and so after they're piloting, the kids actually like end up doing something for once, and they like pin the worm down after it being revealed that it's just one big worm instead of two, because they were convinced otherwise earlier. They pinned it down, and Hero and 02 just destroy it. They kill it.
They run right through.
Yeah.
Which, might I add, was done first in the Power Rangers movie with all the Red Rangers. When they all meet up and they fight the giant dinosaur thing on the moon.
Were there multiple Red Rangers and they go to the moon?
Yo, it was a great movie.
What fucking movie are you talking about?
There's like 30 Red Rangers.
What?
It was amazing.
Why are we watching the fucking Power Rangers movie?
Yeah, next episode on Darling the Trigger Boys.
Power Rangers.
Power Rangers.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, good Power Rangers movie. But I digress.
Listen,
it's just a trope
Munsy,
to
I'm
run
gonna
through
debunk
a
you right
long
now.
Monster.
Yep.
Munsy. Here's where you're. Here's why you shouldn't be upset about that scene. It's because Trigger anime are all references. They just have so many references all the time.
Vamp, fucking bite me, Vamp.
I wanted to talk about something.
I will.
Vamp, you're not wrong.
Right
I'm not
before
even
the
saying that they were ripping off Power Rangers. I'm just saying I was making a joke, Vamp. I just wanted to talk about. I wanted to reference Power Rangers.
Guys, right before this is extremely important. Right before the scene that we're talking about, as the mecha's coming out of the fucking thing, I swear to God, you could fucking put a bullet through my brain if I was wrong about this. Maybe we can find a fucking screenshot of it and put it on screen as one of our fucking images. But I swear to God that there were Kill La Kill stars that just popped up.
Oh yeah.
When right when the mech was coming out, it was just like, and it was like the little fucking 4-pointed stars. And I was like, what? And like that, because I've watched Kill La Kill like so many times. And there's so many Kill La Kill like little stars in that show that it's like ingrained into my brain that it doesn't like, it didn't immediately register to me. It was like normal. And then it was like afterwards I was like, wait, was that Kill La Kill stars? That was incredibly weird as just this out of nowhere like Trigger reference, because in the context of Kill La Kill, that's supposed to represent like the life fibers working and shit.
Yeah,
but it's like a mechanic
Hero
of the magic of the world.
02's life fibers were working, if you know what I mean.
Oh, this is where we find out that it's just like Space Patrol Lulico, where this is like in a universe with all of the other Trigger shows, and like Inferno Cop's gonna show up and kill a Klaxosaur.
God, I
Yes.
hope not.
The anime will only get better. It will just get better.
No. Oh no!
It would go from me genuinely enjoying the show to ironically. That's all that would happen. But
I unironically don't like this show.
Me too. Wait, do people ironically hate things? Is that a thing we do? Is we hate things to be ironic?
You're in an anime. You're part of an anime fandom that is like centered around like having intelligent opinions about anime, and you think people aren't gonna ironically hate things.
I mean, I'm throwing it out there. I've never
A1
I've never seen
Pictures,
it
everyone
before.
ironically hates it, okay?
That is not true.
It's weird. A1 Pictures is a weird case.
I mean,
but is there anything else?
don't. I think that people, when they hate on A1 Pictures, are posing half the time, but I don't think that they're doing it ironically. What I'm talking about is you take like
Fair enough.
you take like an all-time classic and then you just hate on it for like hours on end, and then you're like, "Lol, the joke was I actually think it's good because of course it's good." I don't think anybody does that.
I should do that with Cowboy Bebop.
I mean,
I've
I
never
think
seen
that
it yet.
Cowboy
Nobody
Bebop's-
will like be like, you know what, you're right.
I mean, I think that Cowboy Bebop is overrated as fuck, so I might think that you're right. But even then,
You think everything popular is overrated?
yeah, I mean, pretty much.
So alternative.
Yep.
just so distant
Yep.
from the normal perception.
Though strangely enough, for anyone that only listens to this podcast, I might be the one that thinks that would put that off. You know, like put off that perception of hating things like that are popular.
Like Darling the Franks.
Because exclusively because of that.
I don't know if Darling in the Franxx is popular.
It's a good point.
Yeah. Violet Evergarden is more popular by a decent amount, but
Yeah,
it's
and I don't
so much
give a
more boring.
fuck.
But that's for the Violet Evergarden podcast.
Oh no.
Is there anything left we have to say about this?
I don't know. This is a pretty. There's not much to say about this episode. It's just more of the.
We never really
more
got
of the same
around to the
nonsense.
core question that is kind of driving like why I wanted to do this podcast in the first place, which is why the fuck do you think this is a 9 out of 10 episode, as you said, Vamp?
I said
What?
it might be.
Might be a 9 out of 10 episode. Like, this seems like more of the same to me. Like, what's so good about it?
It's just so good. Listen, there's
It
no
doesn't
there's no
answer, man.
setup. There's no setup. Okay, let me do this.
There is setup.
There's very little setup that I see them like doing for the future episodes and whatnot. This is a very self-indulgent episode.
How is no setup a good thing now, though?
Listen, setup is good, but I don't want to
setup's
see
good.
setup for 12 episodes later setting
No.
up for
Setup
something.
setup is only good when you don't know that it's setup.
Yeah.
Where it's just that like it's the thing happened and now we're in this place in the show. Like the show should just feel like it's naturally progressing, but like we can pinpoint where everything changed so much so that like this isn't even like this is something that I do on like casually watching. It's like called attention to me that these things are like them setting up for future things.
Yep.
Whereas I would much rather there be like me just like it just flow naturally and it just doesn't. It's just so disjointed in like
Whenever-
scenes and like the progression. It's like, oh, now we are doing this.
Yeah, whenever I watch this show and shows like this show, like basically anything that's made by A1 or like these sort of cheap like action or harem shows is like I think I've heard like fucking certain movie and like anime critics refer to when they see bad movies or movies that are like really formulaic, they see a checklist, right? Where it's like tropes being checked off. What I see because of my particular like perception of how my mind works is like those bulleted lists that I make before I write a story or before I write like an essay where it's just like this thing is happening. Okay, that's done. This thing is happening. Okay, it's done. This thing is happening. And then it's just like it's so skeletal.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like flow from piece. It's just like, all right, now we have the scene where they're gonna fuck. All right, now we have the scene where they're fighting, and there's just like it seems so unnatural and basic. And then also,
have, like,
as
I don't
icing,
even have a problem with checklists in general. Like to have like scenes that you want to
have a
happen. Like
problem with checklists?
I've praised shows where I've said it's like it just seemed like the director and the animators just had a bunch of cool things they wanted to put on screen, and that's the whole show.
But this show isn't cool.
I'm cool with that. Exactly.
Listen,
So
And it's not tied in well with anything. Like it's not good on like an individual kind of level, and it's not good
absolutely
as like
I
something
think that's where we
well-written over an
fundamentally
arc.
disagree, because I found this episode pretty entertaining. Whereas in like episode 3, there was just set up and low entertainment value there. This one, it's like it's entertaining to me. I find it very.
See, I wouldn't even say that like the episode, like you said, is not isn't entertaining. It's that, or that it couldn't be. It's that it aggravates me so much watching it, and there's so many things that like bother me over the course of like watching it in general, that it takes away from those other like scenes in parts of the show that would otherwise be quite enjoyable. And that's the big problem I have with the show.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
And that's I think that's how I judge all shows. Generally, is that if you have redeemable qualities, but I'm constantly like being pulled away from them or making me think about other BS, and it causes me to enjoy those, like to think of those enjoyable moments worse because of it, and that's pretty bad on the creator's part to not have kind of creative synergy in that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So something else I wanted to mention, because you talked about this sort of sensation while we were watching the episode, Munsy, is whenever plot's progressing, I see bulleted lists, but whenever characters walk on screen, I just see TV tropes articles just fall before my eyes. So while we were watching this, Munsy, you referenced the characters seeming very tropey, and you expressed a deep-seated desire to just watch a fucking show that's not tropey, right?
Yeah, it's just like I had the thought that came to my head that was like, all of these characters are like so different that they are their own tropes that are distinct from each other, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're so tropey, and I was just like, did they really just get a select group of all of these orphans who are all qualified to do these mechs together that also happen to have completely and utterly different characteristics, different hair colors, might I add, and be distinctly different? And that's like such a minor complaint as an anime fan.
Very pedantic.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very pedantic.
Not particularly romantic.
Like, it's a thing in all of anime. But like I said, these are the kind of thoughts that go through my head when I'm watching this show.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like every other anime is exactly like has the issue that you're talking about.
Very tropey, very like incestuous. Anime seems to be on the whole,
And not in the way that I prefer, if you know what I'm saying.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. When the hair color and tropiness becomes a problem that I recognize in the show, that means there's some other elements of your show, typically in the writing, that really take away from the experience, that makes me think about these other nonsensical parts of the show.
Yep.
Is basically the core of what I'm getting at.
It's called breaking your sensation of disbelief.
Suspension of
You
disbelief.
see, no show can break that for me. I just believe everything. I just enjoy your anime, everybody.
Well,
just
Vamp, that's literally what having bad taste is. Like, that's the perspective of somebody who has bad taste.
I have the best taste. Of course I'm going to think
liking
that.
everything is the best taste? Liking everything is no taste, Vamp.
I don't like everything. I have a drop list, I swear.
Well, then, if you have a drop list, then you've definitely experienced a show that broke your suspension of disbelief at one point.
I think there's a difference between boring and trashy and not worth my time to specifically like, oh, this anime, it's so crazy. There's the things in it are just so crazy that I can't believe it. I just can't.
It's not usually that they're so crazy, it's that stupid. And then all of the crazy stuff that you normally would be okay with just crashes down and you're like, oh my god. This is fucking stupid. It happens all the time.
I'm okay with watching stupid things because it's entertaining. If it's entertaining, that is. It's entertaining. I want to mention before this podcast ends that I don't think the show's a 10 out of 10. Although I was playing up the fact that I do like the show. As to oppose you two bullying me.
Anyone that would call this show a 10 out of 10 seriously needs to reassess
I wonder
their
how many 10 out of 10s.
their rating system or I don't know, take a test about an intelligence test. 'cause this-
An intelligence test.
I mean,
Oh,
if
no.
this is somebody,
They need to reassess their own intelligence
if this is somebody's
or
like
change their scoring system.
third anime, I could understand them having it as a 10 out of 10 for like a while, right?
Maybe a little bit.
I mean, this must be fantastic to people who've never seen anime before, right?
Maybe like the animation might stand out.
The animation would stand out. All of the characters and tropes would seem less bad, right? Like all of the cliches.
Something like new and inventive.
Yeah,
even though
it's like,
not. That's
ooh,
fair.
it's
That's a fair
new.
perception.
I don't know. Maybe there's a viewer like me that just doesn't care, and will find
there's
more
a lot.
enjoyment
There's a
than I
lot
do.
of those
People like
people out
that.
there.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's the most entertaining show. I do get entertained by it. I do think it's like pretty decent. Yeah, definitely not like the best show of the season, but definitely not the worst.
What's the best?
And Violet
show of the
Evergarden is not the
season?
best show of the season.
This
If
is the
anyone
only
thinks so,
show I've
fight me.
watched so far this season.
What are you talking about? We watched Devilman.
Oh, true facts. Devilman's
Devilman's
best show
the best
of
show
the
of the fucking
season.
season.
Yeah.
Best show of the year thus far.
Oh, that's the
Oh my
same
God.
category.
Yeah.
I want someone to make a video. Darling the Franks, Insta Anime of the Year ? That'd be hilarious.
No.
I
Gosh,
would
I
want to.
wonder who would make that video.
Who knows? It definitely wouldn't be me. Of course not.
That does feel like
Yeah.
a video you would make.
All right. So,
Um,
anything else to say?
Vamp,
I
what's
would
your-
like to say,
Vamp,
Go
what's
ahead,
your
Lucy.
score of the show now?
7.
I think this is a 4 for me now. It's starting to
Ooh.
look even more bleak.
I don't rate anime until it's over.
You're a fucking pleb, and you know that this is gonna be at least.
It's all for the funsies, Munsy. Neither do I.
We've talked
You mean
about this.
at most,
Most to two. I mean, yeah.
it's not looking good for Darling in the
It's
Franxx.
dark.
I'll tell you
It's
that.
As
dark
you
outlook.
two expected.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm waiting for the moment where I can say I called it to every other person who's watched this.
Well, it's gonna be 20 weeks down the road, man.
20 more weeks. 20 more
But
episodes.
I followed the 3-episode rule. I even followed the 3-episode rule that everyone was complaining about
Guys,
after
we
I made a video
gotta,
after episode
we
1.
gotta wrap up this podcast before I fucking shit my pants.
So this is urgent, folks. This has been a good time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you.